through a lesson, I just ask that you do have, your phone shouldn't be out, computers, same thing. So computers should be closed while we have a lesson going, just to make sure that that isn't a distraction for you. So I know some of you still had your computers out. If you could just put those away during the notes. And today's lesson will be a little shorter than yesterday's. So today is focusing on linear measure. One thing also that I want to mention before I forget to mention too, if you look on the front board for the assessment, we will be having a quiz coming up next week. Thursday will be the first quiz. So I think I might have mentioned, I knew you were going to have a quiz next week from the first half of chapter 1. Chapter 1 goes by pretty quickly, and it's only on sections 1.1 through 1.3. So 1.3 will be covering Monday, Tuesday, review of review for the quiz on Wednesday, quiz on Thursday. So that will be coming up. But for linear measure, we are looking at how to measure segments and then also how to calculate with segment measures. So we're really dealing with segments today. So kind of a table like you saw yesterday with points, lines, and planes. Here we're talking about segments, which can also be called line segments, measures of a segment, and then congruent segments. So a segment is part of a line, and it has 2 endpoints. So whether you want to write the number 2 in there or actually spell out the word 2, that is up to you. So it's part of a line and it has 2 endpoints. So lines go on forever in either direction infinitely, segments have ends. So it is named with the 2 endpoints, and then it's written with a line above it, like I had mentioned from your assignment. So for example, this line segment has endpoints x and y, and then the name of it is written right here, xy, with just a bar above. So the measure of a segment is the length of that segment, and so you have to use units to represent length. So examples, it could be units in inches, it could be units in feet, it could be units in meters, so just an M. But if you are asked a question that asks for the measure, you should be including units in your answer, whatever units are given in the problem. So then here's an example of how to represent a measure. So it says xy is equal to 4 centimeters. What I do want you to notice with the xy, there's a difference when you're representing a segment versus the measure of a segment. So when you're representing just a segment, you need a bar above the xy in this case. If you're saying the measure of it, you do not put a bar above it. So you want to make a note to yourself, there is no line above for a measure. So if you're saying how long a segment is, you don't put a bar above the letters. There's a lot of, like I said, or have been saying, there's a lot of notation here with geometry, understanding what things mean and then how to write and label everything. And then we have congruent segments. So congruent means same measure. So segments that would have the same measure are congruent segments. The symbol for congruent is an equal sign with a little like tilde above it. So it's actually right here. It's this symbol right here. And when you are saying 2 segments are congruent, notice how those segments are written. You would have the line above it to say segments are congruent. If you want to say that the measures of 2 segments are equal, this congruent statement really means that the measure of AB is equal to the measure of CD. So again, notation, notice the difference. Segments are congruent, measures are with an equal sign.
Any of the remaining senior students that did not have their picture taken at registration, please report to the ACP at this time. Thank you.
I just didn't want to talk over the announcement. So I just made a note to show again, these mean the measures. They don't have the lines above. The measures are equal. So segments are congruent means the measures are equal. And then this just shows off to the side, AB and CD. Those segments both equal 1.7 centimeters. So any questions with the notation? You'll have practice, and that's something when you are correcting your assignment. If there's anything you ever need me to look at to make sure it's okay, please let me know. I know you guys are correcting your own assignments. You really need to pay attention to the notation you are using when you correct, and are you writing it the same way I'm writing it? And if it looks different and you're not sure if it's right, don't just say, oh, I wrote it differently, but I think that's okay. Let me know. If you are not sure that it's okay, just ask. I can look at how you wrote it and tell you so that you're not getting that wrong when you take a quiz or a test. So for example, number 1, A, B, and C here, it's just finding the length of each segment. So there's already some sort of measurement device, rulers, and however it's measured in these two, you want to pay attention to the units are in inches, this is in centimeters, and you're looking at that to say how long those segments are. Okay, so if we look at the first one, CD, actually what I might have you do, because using rulers and making measurements shouldn't be anything new, why don't you just answer A, B, and C? So just answer how long those segments are. And how I'd like you to write it is, so for example, for A, say the measure CD, so no line above it, is equal to, and then say how long it is and put the units. So do that for A, B, and C, and then we'll just check them and see if we all got the same measurements. And you can work together and check in the groups that you're sitting in as well. I'll just make a walk around so I just want to make sure you get a chance to answer them. But if you do have a question on something or want me to check something that you have, let me know. Great, and I like that I'm seeing some different forms that people wrote the answers into, which seem to be fine. So if you want to check what you have, however, I will write alternative answers you could have. So A should be 1 1/4 inches, or if you had 1.25 inches, that's the same thing. That is fine. B is also 1 1/4 inches, or again, 1.25 would be fine. The difference between these is just noticing this would be a more accurate ruler, I should say, because you have a smaller unit to go by. You have 16ths on that ruler. It would be 4/16, which happens to be 1/4 again. And then C, A, B is 3 7/10, or if you had 3.7, that is also correct, centimeters. Oops, the 7's cut off there. Any questions on those? I think from what I saw, we were okay. All right, and then we have a definition here, betweenness of points. So just the way it sounds, this is talking about when one point is in between two others. So on this diagram here, we can see that point N is between points A and B. And then if you compare where points R and P are compared to A and B, points R and P are not between A and B. So it's not really a definition of what between means, but more so just understanding that idea of what it means to be in between, because then we'll use this idea to find measures of certain segments using the betweenness of points idea. So in this diagram here, we can see that point M is between points P and Q. And this is a more formal definition to go along with that. So point M is between points P and Q, but this is if and only if P, Q, and M, all those points are collinear, and the measure of PM plus the measure of MQ is equal to the measure of PQ. So just notice how that is broken down. This segment PM, that measure, plus this segment MQ must equal the length of the entire segment PQ. So then you can use that idea or variations of it to find measures of other segments. So I think I'd just like you to try these as well. Try 2 and 3. I'm not going to go through one with you. Just look at those. I think you can kind of work through them and gain an idea. But try to answer questions 2 and 3. Find EG, the length of that segment, and then find the length of segment JL in example 3. And I'll still talk about those examples. I just want to give you a chance to look at them before I talk about them. And again, you're finding a measure, so you should have units in your answer. Sure, if you'd like me to check something, let me know. I just also want to make sure you have a chance to answer questions. And if you're sitting in a group, you could compare with those around you, get the same answers. Okay. So you should have, now I wrote down, I'm not saying I have to see this work on your papers when I'm grading your quizzes and tests. I just wrote down up here, and if it helps you to see this, maybe you want to write it on your sheet. If it's not necessary, you don't need to see it, you understand it, you don't need to write it down. But I just said that segment EG is going to equal the measure of EF plus the measure of FG. And notice I'm talking about measures, so I don't have the lines above those. So I know EF, I know FG, they're both 2 3/4 inches. So if I add 2 3/4 to itself, I would get 5.5 inches. And then for 3, JL is equal to the length of JK plus the length of KL. And I know that's 8.4 plus 3.9, that's 12.3 centimeters. Okay, are there any questions on those? From what I saw, we seem to be okay. Did they stop you in the office? Oh, you got your picture. Okay. All right, so then if you flip it over to number 4, it says to find the measure of segment AB. And now notice for this one, AB is not the full segment, it's part of that segment. So in this case, how would I find the measure of segment AB? Kelly?
You would take the entire length of AC and subtract it by BC.
Yeah. And again, this isn't necessary for me to see on your papers when I'm grading your work, but if this helps you, just understand, especially with the notation, you can certainly write that out. So I'm taking AC and I'm subtracting the BC part to get what's left over AB. So I can plug in what I know. So AC is 13.2, and then I'm subtracting 5.8. Anybody have then what AB would be equal to? 7.4, and that is meters. Make sure you include the units for that measure. Okay, so now we're going to be getting into also reviewing some algebra, solving equations to find values of variables as well as lengths of segments. And it's very important in these types of questions that you always go back and make sure you've answered every part of the question. Kind of have helped you out here on the notes by putting blanks to make sure you're filling in everything that you're asked to find. So number 5 says find the value of A and measure of segment XY if Y is between X and Z. XY, that measure is equal to 3A. The measure of XZ is equal to 5A minus 4. The measure of YZ is equal to 14. And then I have here make a sketch. Okay, so if I were to draw this out and label what I know, it's telling me Y is between X and Z. So X and Z must be my full segment, and Y is somewhere in between. It doesn't matter where you draw it. Y is somewhere in between. And then I can label what I know. So I know that the measure of XY, so this part of the segment is 3A. I know the measure of XZ, so that's the full segment, is 5A minus 4. And then YZ, the other part of the segment, is equal to 14. And this one doesn't give units, so you wouldn't have to include units in your answer. You could put just the word units after if you wanted to, but you wouldn't have to. So for these, you're going to set up an equation. So we still use that idea of the measure of segment XY plus the measure of segment YZ should equal the measure of the entire segment XZ. Again, this wouldn't be necessary for you to write out if you don't need to. I'm just writing it out so I don't lose anybody. So I know XY is 3A plus YZ is 14 equals XZ. The entire thing is 5A minus 4. And I now have an equation I can solve to find A. A is just one of my answers. The question then also asked me to find the measure of segment XY. So I would have to go back and substitute A in to find XY. So how would I solve this equation for A? Just reviewing solving equations here. Okay, so I can subtract, I need all of my A's on the same side, so I can subtract 3A from both sides. I still have 14 on the left. 5A minus 3A will give me 2A, and I still have the minus 4. Next step, add 4 to each side. So then that would give me, 18 is equal to 2A, divide by the 2, so A is 9. All right, and now that I know A, to find XY, XY was equal to 3A.
Any students that would like to do picture retakes, please report to the ECP at this time. Thank you.
So that means XY is 3 times 9, which is 27. And again, they don't give us units, so you don't have to name units if they're not given. Questions on that one? Okay, so go ahead and 6 is very similar, but I want you to answer question 6 just to make sure you're okay on this without me leading you through it. You could also take a look at 7 and 8 and try those on your own if you are kind of waiting for us to move on. Yeah, if you get an x value and that x value gives you a negative measure for BC, you know your x value is not right. So you shouldn't get a negative measure for segments.
Well, I can get insight on that. Middle school lunch and honestly is great. I had food poisoning twice. Oh yeah, you're not
Okay. I know some of you are still maybe going back and trying to fix some things. So the correct x value should be 15. And then the correct measure for BC is 33. So if you did not get 15, I don't have all the steps kind of listed out like the one we had gone through together. So your equation should be x plus 2x plus 3 equals 4x minus 12. And then solving from there, you should get 15. And if you have the right setup and you're not getting 15, and you can't figure out why, let me know. I do want to just quickly talk about number 7. If you looked at number 8 already and want to check that with me, you can, but it kind of goes along with what 7 is asking too. So congruent segments are segments that have the same measure. How they are labeled in a diagram, if you are labeling something as congruent, they're labeled with these little line markings. And when you have multiple segments that are congruent to other segments, they have to have the same number of line markings. So in this diagram, these two segments that form the tip of that pencil are congruent. And when you write this, you have to write it as the segment is congruent to the segment, so you need the line above. So I would say AB with the line above that segment is congruent, that equal sign with the little tilde is congruent to AG. Now, either of those, if you put BA and GA, same thing. These two segments that have the 3 tick marks are also congruent to each other. So BC is congruent to segment GF or FG. And then these two at the right end are also congruent that have the 2 tick marks. So CD is congruent to FE. So that's just making sure you understand the markings for whether or not something is congruent. Okay. Any questions right now from the notes? So quickly,